Hello and welcome back. It's time for our top story, and we have our guest with us in the studio. Today, we'll be looking at something very important. Something important in the area of discovery. Science is something we can never ever look down on. We're looking at preparing our next generation of scientists. And to do this for us, or with us, we'll be having Mrs. Peace Nnabugwu. She's a country manager, SAF Africa. Thank you for joining us, Mrs. Peace Nnabugwu.
Nice to have you on Hello Nigeria.
Great to have you, Mrs.
I think, first of all, we'll start off by looking at the fact that these days we're having more people tilt towards the arts. You see young children, probably young age, they want to be like Whiskey, or they want to be like David, or they want to play football. So we're seeing more people tilting towards the arts. Ayo here is a science student who has ended up in front of the TV. Would you say that in the past few years, there has been a steady decline with regards to our students and their exposure to the sciences?
Oh, yes. There's been a steady decline. And the truth is, they're being exposed to these people you talk about. They see them every day. They see them excel in these fields. You don't expect them to go through school and not want to excel. So if this is all you present to them as a route to excellence, that's what they will tilt towards. So,
and there's a lot of glamour attached to it.
Of course, you know, and that's what everybody is interested about, even our parents, you know. So you don't really blame them because it is the society that presents this kind of
You're very right about that. Even corporate Nigeria, you hardly see brand ambassadors that are scientists. This person is brand ambassador for this telecom company. She worked at NASA, or she's a Nigerian scientist somewhere. No, it's the entertainers, it's the dancers, it's the people you see on TV.
And back in the day, like in addition to what you just said, Benga, we used to have all this spelling bee competition, national mathematics competition, Jet Club. We've seen a steady decline in all of that. What is, looking at us as a country, as a people, what is the long-term effect on this as Nigerians?
We're already feeling the long-term effect. So
that's why we don't have lights in 2017.
Of course, a longer-term effect will be a more devastating environment like we're already feeling now. Let me say this. Let's take energy, for example. We have abundant resource, solar resource. And then we don't produce solar panels. We import. And then we import, we still don't install properly because we have not taken time to educate the people who are supposed to do these things. Science Ambassadors Foundation takes you to the knowledge about what you can do with your science disciplines, physics, chemistry, biology, not the applied sciences. The applied sciences, your medicine, engineering. Yes. Our parents are not really informed. Parents think if you're not an engineer, if you're not a medical student, then you're doomed. And then the child gets that picture. So if he or she comes in through JAM and he or she doesn't make medicine engineering, and then the second choice for physics, chemistry is offered, and that child loses hope.
Yeah. So he thinks he can't do anything with his
So from the very beginning, the interest is not there.
Yeah.
So it's just going through school. I can become a bank manager after physics, after maths. But the truth is, everything about life, everything about the environment, they all stem from your basic sciences. Now, I'll say basic science because right now I can't even talk about the big science because we don't understand the basic sciences, its application.
All right, now let me just ask you a question, because it's good for us to inspire or to encourage young people to embrace sciences. But again, are we encouraging the environment or society to be conducive enough to absorb scientists when they are trained? So I want to, for instance, in the UK or in America, I want to study physics as a major course. I know that there are labs I can work in. If I have a passion in physics, in the way things work, it can be nurtured and groomed for me to be the next Stephen Hawking, for instance. In Nigeria, do we have that kind of provision? Because if we're encouraging people to go into sciences, do we have that society to absorb scientists when they finish?
You know, I've always said, in fact, what SAF does is to take science out of the lab. Everybody thinks that when you study sciences, you end up in the lab. Really, no. In this studio, you need a sound manager, and that person can be a physicist. Do you understand? Science finds its application everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere. So it is for you to understand the basic principle, then you know how to apply it. Like, the way we teach, the way we stimulate our interest is for us to show you with basic demonstrations.
Practical example.
Yes. Yeah. And then we don't do it with laboratory equipment. We do it with things like toothpick, things like this, your plastic bottle and water, things like a cup of tea, the way you stir it, and then we'll tell you which one is your centripetal force or your centrifugal force. Then when you see, okay, you have this kind of principle in your classroom, and then you say, oh, is that how it's being applied? Okay, where can I apply? Then your brain comes alive. Then you can think innovatively. Actually, it's the thinking first. So when we have a collection of thinkers, innovators, you can start pulling out those things. You can't build in the thin air. Okay, so if you're talking about laboratory, it is what you have thought about, I've thought about, you've thought about that. We now want to say, okay, we've gone beyond this level. This is what we're looking at. Then we'll need a lab for this. Then you can now push for the lab. But when you have no one to work in that lab, and really, we've not even gotten to the stage of talking about the lab. That's why I said I don't want us to look at big science. Let's look about the basic sciences now. A child is in school. In secondary school, science rocks. Science students are most brilliant.
Yes.
But when he or she comes out of secondary school and gets to the university, and he or she is not a medical student or an engineering student, then the world comes crashing in. But that's not true, because in physics, you can look at the energy world. I talk more about the energy world because I'm an applied physicist and that's my field. And then in renewable energy, we have various job opportunities for energy manager, energy auditor, facility
and we
manager.
See a shortfall.
Yeah. We will see a shortfall and huge opportunities. You understand? In academia too, especially for the women, you don't see them go beyond the master's level. And it's at your PhD level that you, let me say, now do more contribution from what you have done at your BSc and your MSc level. It's at your PhD. But at that PhD, so many factors have strangled her out of the way.
Now, speaking about women and not getting to the PhD level, you have your foundation, the SAF.
Science Ambassadors
Foundation. You basically look at grooming female scientists.
No, we look at grooming scientists, but we pay more attention to female.
All right. How long has this project been running?
Unofficially for 10 years, officially about 7 years now.
Wow. Okay. Great. So what's the future for SAF?
From the past event we had on Thursday was quite interesting. We had commissioners, we had the Minister for Science and Technology represented, and so we were making a case for improvised learning, like I just said, because we've gone through to schools to find out what has been the problem.
Yeah.
And some of them say laboratory, no equipment, and I said, look, you are a science teacher. If you don't have an equipment to teach,
improvise.
You can improvise. You can get this child to love this thing. And then all you need is that child loving it. Let me take your mind back to penicillin. I don't know, you know penicillin. Yes. The man who discovered penicillin, Dr. Alexander Fleming, he was not in that lab. It was just a Petri dish that had that growth. Now, when he came back, he saw it. He was fascinated. Don't forget, he wasn't really the one that even got into the commercial level. There were other people. Now, if he didn't have an understanding of bacteria and fungi and what to look at, I'm sure he would have picked that Petri dish as like, throw it in the trash can and that's it. And today we won't have solution to that problem. Yes. So if we don't have that basic understanding, if you don't know how to communicate this to a child to love that discipline, how would you want to bring out an innovator from that child, an industrialist from that child?
Can I pick out something you just mentioned?
Please.
To communicate the love for science in that child. Now, one of the things a number of teachers and ambassadors like you have mentioned is that children fear science. The science, the fear, the mention of science, maths, science,
physics, chemistry, and biology.
Like she said, let's not even go to the bigger sciences. If we even look at the basic sciences, the mere mention of that word is the beginning of fear for many children. So how do you inspire young people to love the subject? Because I know that one of the things you probably do is to take it, to make it attractive, because for people to even embrace it, it has to be attractive for them. So how do you then inspire that love for the sciences for children and young people?
Okay, I can tell you a story of one of my students. She's in Canada now for her master's. She came in for medicine and she didn't get medicine. She got biology education. And she was like, not even biology, ma. What am I going to do? So I'll be a teacher. I said, no, you can be a teacher. I'm a teacher. But I have a difference. And then I have my path. Then you can create your path. And then she said, how? So I said, okay, let's look at this. You want to do biology, plant biology. Look at plant biology. Take, for example, the food industry, the FCMGs. They need sweeteners that are not harmful to health. You can look, we are blessed with abundant resources. You can go into the villages, look at all of these of our plants, and see the one that has some sweetening effects that you can commercialize. And she went, wow, like, okay. So I'm going to see
an opportunity.
You understand? So she started seeing the opportunity.
Their eyes to the opportunity.
And I tell you, she excelled with her biology education. And today she's in Canada.
All right.
So,
thank you so much for the fantastic work that you do. How do people get across to you if they want you to probably come to their school? I'm sure you go from school to school, or how does it work?
Well, okay, if they want us to come to their school, maybe for those who haven't been working with us, yes, they could go to our website, www.safafrica.org. SAF as in SAF, Science Ambassadors Foundation Africa.org, and then fill our contact form. Or they could call us on 080-2311-2525.
All right. Thank you very much,
Thank you
Mrs.
very much.
for joining us. We're speaking with Mrs. Peace of the Science Ambassadors Foundation. And she's so science, so interestingly. We're hoping that soon enough, our government will be partnering more with science organizations and inspiring younger people to want to do more inventions.
To enjoy more of these our Ogbonge videos when you just watch, press this button to subscribe on top of our YouTube page. You go love her.